So, Help Wanted, one of the most spookiest, horrible, terrifying games in the whole franchise. Not because of anything else, but because it's in VR. Now, I play in both VR and non-VR, so it's kind of fun, but the mix between is very horrifying compared when you get to used to the flat mode and the non-flat mode, when you're actually up and personal with the animatronics. It's actually really scary, and I thought, while I work on FNAF 6, it would be such a fun game to make with all its unique mechanics, and it would be an awesome game to make. So I've decided that these is going to be a series from now on until I working up to FNAF 6. Now I can't wait to get this video out to you guys because this is going to be such an awesome one for you guys to watch. Now, so I'm going to make 3 mini games per episode, sometimes maybe 4 or 2 depending the size of the mini game and the length, and depending how long it takes. Now, I'm gonna do a couple speed builds and a mix in with all of these things because I don't know when it could begin. So what I'm going to do is start working on the outlines for the lobby, aka the hub, where you can walk around, go to the prize counter, and stuff according to that. The levels I'm going to make are Parts and Service with Bonnie, Fun with Plushtrap, and Vent Repair Mangle. So those are all the mini games I'm going to make for this episode, so let's get on to outlining the hub. So here are the outlines for the hub. I think they went pretty well. Most of the rooms are empty and there's not many props nor decorations, considering that most of the hub is off limits to the player in-game, only being a few party tables and some prize counter decorations. So most hallways, like the FNAF 1 hallway and the prize counter, they all have props, but the hallways do not. There's a few party tables scattered with Pirate Cove in the main stage. There is no Parts and Service because there is no one in the hub, because there's no need to be, nor is there an office or proper bathroom hallway. It's just a wall, nor is there a kitchen. And it would be very easy to build considering there are no big amount of props or anything like that. So let's get building. Now that the hub is complete, we can now add some functionality to it. As you can see, I've added the map art on the walls and other stuff such as this is the doorway. So the first thing we're going to get started on is Glitch Trap, where Glitch Trap will occasionally spawn there in the player and would be standing here. We can also make the monitor functional, where as you can see I've used some buttons and stuff, such as the ones that teleport us to the prize counter, gallery, and so on. So that button would take us to the prize counter, and that one would do the showtime, but the showtime isn't actually functional, so we don't have to worry. Here's the hard mode thing. Pirates Cove, and over here is the prize counter. And in the prize counter, as you can see, I've added some armor stands for props, such as 2 armor stands for the gumball machine, some armor stands in the shelves for the plushies and toys, such as that little purple robot. We have a plush baby up there in the shelves, which I despise of, one I use for the monitor right here, and a couple more. There are nothing in here, because what's the point in adding something that is not visible to the player? And in here, it's also an empty room. So there's nothing, also in the game, there is no roof. So I had to design my own roof. So here is the roof that I've added, just polished deep slate tiles. So I've also added the map art, as I've told you before, with some black ones for the walls to split up all of the doorways. I've also used this checker one in the prize counter, as you can see, because in the game there's a checker one surrounded by a red pattern. So that means we're going to get started working on the button that takes us over to the prize counter. So we'll click that and it'll teleport us here. And if we click that one, it will teleport us back over here, where we can be free to use this monitor if we please, and select a level to play by interacting with it. This one would also do some other stuff, and so is the hard mode. So there are some things in the hub, such as the curtains in the front, and there's Glitchtrap in the bathroom hallway. We have the monitor used as level select, so we can select our levels depending which level we want to play. And then there's the hard mode, which can switch hard on and off depending if you want to play hard mode or not. We are not going to do hard mode in this episode, so we just have to ignore that for now. So the first thing I want to do is Glitchtrap. But before we do Glitchtrap, let's do the buttons, where it will teleport us to the prize counter and back. So the first thing I've done is set up a detect command in a repeating command block, which will detect when the birch button is pressed, so it can teleport us to the prize counter when we hit the button. So we write this command and it will detect when the button is powered. So once we have that set up, I've added some armor stands up in the main hub that will be teleported to when we click the button. So there's one right there, so you can see we'll get teleported to this armor stand. So we get repeatedly teleported to this armor stand, and this will be our view. And then once we click this button right here, we would get teleported over to this armor stand right here. So the first scoreboard we're going to create is a scoreboard called Hub Pause, pause standing for position. So what we do, now that I've created that, as you can see, here are our 2 buttons. When we click that, and we'll be teleported into that black box, and they'll be teleported to the correct armor stand depending which button we click. So scoreboard objectives, set display sidebar, hub pause. As you can see, we have no hub position at the moment. So the scoreboard object players add at p hub pause 1. So now we're at the first position. So when we click what will happen, it will infinitely teleport us to this armor stand. So we're in this position here, and we'll click the button, but it won't teleport us to this armor stand unless we're at the position of hub pose 2. So these buttons will correspond to what way we go. So as you can see, if I click that, we are now teleported over to the prize counter, and we are free to walk around, but we don't want that. We want you to just be teleported in place infinitely. So the way to make that work is we're just going to have some repeating teleport commands to repeatedly teleport us to this armor stand, so we can't freely wander and do other stuff. We should be able to look around, but not wander like this. So now coming back later, as you can see, if I were to hit this button, it would teleport me. So I'm going to show you how that works. So I've added a few extra commands, these being the commands that will teleport me infinitely to the arm stand. So as you can see, execute if score at p, a new scoreboard name in hub, detecting if we're in the hub. So if we're in the hub, not on another level, and hub pose matches 1, it will teleport us to that armor stand. Or if the same thing happens, but instead of hub pose matching 1 matches 2, it will teleport us to that position instead, which being the right position, the position we want to be teleported to. So this command block will say we're no longer in the hub, so it can teleport us into that black box, and we're not repeatedly teleported back up there. So that's teleporting me back in that hub. Then this will teleport me to the arm stand or the corresponding position. This will teleport me back in the hub, giving my score back, and then it will make this repeatedly teleport me, and it will now say I'm in the hub again, so I'll infinitely be teleported once again. So that's how it works, and I will show it off. So as you can see, if I go here and stand here, I can freely walk around, but if I hit this button, again, I'm now here, and as you can see, I can move around, but I cannot move the player, and I'm jumping and constantly sprinting trying to get out of position, but I cannot move, but I can freely move my camera around to look around, just like in game. So if we click that button, we can now freely roam around. Once again, I cannot move, and we can go back and forth as much as we like. It doesn't affect us in any way. It's just so. Now the next thing we're going to do is glitch trap and the monitor terminal, so we can do the levels. So glitch trap is the next thing I'm going to start on before I start doing the levels. Now glitch trap stands in the bathroom hallway and has occasion to spawn, and he will be waving at us, and the more tapes we collect, the more closer he will be. But I'm not going to do tapes, so he's just going to stay there. So I've now completed the glitch trap, and as you can see, I'm quite happy about how the armor stand model turned out, and he's staring at the player in his holographic form, waving. Now these are all the commands that actually require him to work, and there's not actually much included. So I have added some command blocks at the top of these ones, and some signs so I know which appropriate one is what. So as you can see, this one, it will roll a number between 0 and 1 if it for a scoreboard called glitch chance. And these command blocks will detect it. If it lands on 0, it will just teleport glitch trap back here so he's not in the hub. But if it lands on 1, it will teleport glitch trap up inside the hub, right here inside of the bathroom hallway doorway. So it will teleport there. Then we have this hopper clock right here, which is just giving his animation for him waving at us. And then it's just an item cycling in and out of the hopper, powering these commands, which will change the data of the armor stand to make it look like he's waving, which I think is a much better effect than just having him stand there staring at the player, so he will wave as well. So if we go back in the hub and try and test it out, if I click this button, we'll teleport to the prize counter. If I click this button, has he spawned? No, he hasn't. As you can see, he's not there. So if we click this button again and again, and let's just keep seeing, will he spawn? Nope, still not there yet. So these buttons have trouble trying to hit them when we get teleported infinitely. And yep, now he's finally there. So there he's in the hallway, and if we click this again, he will either disappear or stay there, and it looks like he's decided to disappear. So he's no longer there anymore, so let's actually get started working on the level select. So as you can see, here's the terminal, and I've changed the item frame with the glass pane in it to a warped sign because I couldn't figure out how to detect when you've interacted with the item frame. So instead I've made it so when you interact with this sign. So as you can see, if I go down here, I've added some commands. Now not everything is functional at the moment, there is only a few command blocks as you can see. So here's the first minecart, which has a few items in it, most of them being locked ones because there's nothing I'm doing this episode, and there's vent repair, parts service, dark rooms, and back. Then we have the dark rooms with Plushtrap, then we have parts of service with Bonnie, and then we have vent repair with Mangle. So we have all of our levels that we'll be doing this episode. So now that we've done that, these command blocks are what detects when we throw one of these items, and it will replace the item with the exact same item. And this is what detects. It will place a redstone block there, so it will teleport the terminal minecart to us when we interact with the sign up here. So as you can see, if we go up here and we interact with the sign like that, as you can see, it will bring up this, and we can select what we want. We can throw those, nothing will happen because they're locked at the moment because they won't do anything. Then we have vent repair, which do nothing at the moment, same as parts and service, and back is the only one that works when it will teleport it back down there, and we can still walk around and do whatever we want. Or we can select other ones like dark rooms, which I've made functional, where we have Plushtrap select, or we can throw these, start the Plushtrap level, which doesn't actually work yet because I haven't made it yet, or we can go back to the main terminal, throw the back arrow again, and then we can just continue to explore the hub. So down here, the way that works is it detects when those items have been left the minecart, so it detects when the certain slot has been exited from the minecart with a certain item. It will replace the item with whatever item it was, then, so it will replace it and make it work again. So let's continue and get more done. Now I've completed all of the things inside of the terminal. So as you can see, if I interact with this, as you can see, we have all of the same ones again. And if we throw vent repair, we have vent repair Mangle. None of the minigames are connected at the moment. We can throw all these items, or we can go back and select another level, such as dark rooms. As you can see, I can select Plushtrap if I want, or I can go back, select parts and service if I would please, and select Bonnie. Or I can go back, and I can be free to do whatever I want. Now these, once again, still don't work, so I can still walk around and go to the hub. So the next thing I want to do, as you can see here, I've added a few extra details because I forgot them earlier. So now, as you can see here, the command blocks behind this, it's the same system. I've just added a bit more of the exact same thing again and again. As you can see, the same commands just detects when the item is no longer in the minecart, so it will detect that, and then it will replace the item and then run whatever other command we want it to run. So the first one we're going to do is parts and service Bonnie. So that's the first level we're going to be getting done today because it seems to be the easiest. I didn't do a speed build for parts and service Bonnie, as you can see, because there wouldn't be much to build. So this is the main gameplay area where Bonnie would sit there. I have a table with a few other things. Now this is all there really is in the game, so there wasn't really much else to add besides this checker floor and then the little small props. So I have added a few things like this toolbox under there and the classic checker pattern floor, the receptacles on your left and right, a Bonnie plush right there, and then this is where Bonnie would stand and you would make the repairs on him. So let's make the armor stand model that we're going to use for this repair of parts and service Bonnie. So here's the model that I've created for parts and service Bonnie, and I'm quite proud of how it turned out. As you can see, he's got his guitar in his hand like that, his classic red guitar, then he's got his head, which I've changed to suit the color of his armor, and he's sitting there just how he does in parts and service, because I opened up Help Wanted on my PC, so I could look and get some reference of how Bonnie looked. So the first thing you have to do is remove Bonnie's 2 eyes, so let's get working on that. So the first few command blocks that I've added are so we can interact with the eyes. Now I've also added these chest minecarts so for the left and right receptacles. So this is where we will put the eyes, and I have an idea of how this can work because I have been practicing for this for a few while now. Now what we're going to be using are interaction entities, and as you can see it detects when I interact with either eye, which is perfect because I can also change their size to the hitbox of my liking, which is perfect for this recreation. So I've added some command blocks, so I'll show you how they work. So as you can see, here is our Bonnie with the little interaction hitbox, and I can detect when I hit it. So what I'm going to do is show you the commands down here. So here are the commands for them. As you can see, the 3 that detect when you've interacted with it, and the other interaction entity for the other one. Here's the chest filled with all the items, because when you take out an eye, it will change the player head to make it look like you've taken out that eye, with 1 eye removed, no eyes removed, and both eyes removed, which is just perfect because it's just so much easier on my part. So as you can see, if I walk up here and I interact with the eye, it gives me the eye, and as you can see, the player head changes. It gives me this player head label eye, and the player head is changed to make it look like I've taken that eye. I can now put it in this receptacle, and as you can see, the interaction entity is still there, so we can't interact with the other eye. So then if we put this in here, as you can see, now this interaction entity has teleported itself up here. We can take it once again, and then we're given the eye item, and then we can put it in the right receptacle, where now we are supposed to click the 2 red buttons on either side of Bonnie's face to open up the face plates, which once again we'll be using interactions for. I then added a command that made it so it detects when you have clicked both buttons, and it will set a score, so it detects when the score matches 2, which means when you've clicked both interaction entities, this score will power, and then we'll add the comparator, which makes it so it detects when you hit it. Then I added a item replace command where it will replace the entity's head of the armor stand with the tag PSBB, standing for parts and service Bonnie body, its head from a block, a chest container 9, which is another player head. I then added more command blocks that would detect when a certain scoreboard would reach a certain number, which would detect when a certain thing would happen when it was triggered to happen. Then I also added some set score commands, so it would set a score so it could run another command after this had happened, which is very useful when needing to run a change of things in a certain amount of time. I then added another random command, the same one I used for Glitchtrap, so it could randomize which note would be out of tune when it plays in the guitar, so a different note would be out of tune each time instead of it being the same one again and again, so the player would have to guess more than once. Now that I've done all that, as you can see, I've added a quite fair few command blocks, such as the random one which I just showed. Now this is what is corresponding to that, as this is the chain, which plays a different tune out of tune each time. So as you can see, each one is a strip, and as you can see, here's the faceless Bonnie, and if I run a random one, as you can see, it has a colored concrete, and it tells us which one is out of tune. And as you can see, it's random each time, because this time it's yellow instead of being blue as the first one was, so it's random every time, so you actually have to try in this minigame. And the way this works is very simple. And the next thing we'll give it some items so the player can choose which one they want to twist to put it back in tune. Then after that, I added some scores, so it would set a certain score to the tune to 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending which tune or color was out of tune. So then I could detect if the player threw the wrong item or the right item when the right or wrong one is thrown. I added a score so it detects if you throw the right or wrong item, which will cause your death or not. So it will detect if the tune is at a certain score and if you throw the right item. If you throw the right item and it's at the right score, you can proceed and win the level. But if it's at the wrong score and you throw anything besides the right item, you'll be met with a game over screen. Then I added the jump scare and a few other things, as you can see here, and I've completed most of everything for this level besides the reset commands, game over box, winners box, and the hint box. As you can see, if I run the same command, as you can see, if I run the same tune command, as you can see, and then as you can see which one was out of tune, I don't know. Let's just say it was red. As you can see, we get a Bonnie jump scare, but we don't get teleported anywhere because I haven't actually added that in yet. So now all we have to do is add the hint boxes, the prize room, and the hint level, select, and then we are completely done with this level. Then I added an armor stand with a certain tag for the hint room, where it will have a custom name showing with a player head on top of it for the hints. I then added a command block that would detect when you hit the button inside of the hint room, so it would change the hint to whatever hint you are no longer looking at the point, so you can swap back and forth between the hints, which would detect and change the hint's name. Then I added a scoreboard named hint, and it would add 1 to that scoreboard every single time you would hit the button, so you could go back and forth between both hints. Then I made a scoreboard, a command block that would make sure the scoreboard does not go over 2, and it will set it back to 1 if it does go over 2, so there's no such thing as the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or so on score or hint. I then made it so it would change the armor stand's name, so then it would say something different, giving you a different hint each time, so it would change the hint. Then I made it so it would change this name from push button to make repairs and back and forth, so every single time he would hit it, it would say, it would also change the player head from a button to Bonnie's head on make repairs, so it would make it look like the hints work. I then added a game over room where it would have 2 buttons, retry and main menu, with a monitor with a cupcake on top of it, in a pitch black room with some curtains. Then I also added a prize room with a gift box. I then made it detect when you would break the prize, so at the block it's located, and then it would give you your prize, and that would be a Foxy plush. I've now completed the entire of Help Wanted Bonnie repair with only 246 command blocks exactly. And here in the prize room, as you can see, we have our prize. In the game room we have the cupcake. Out here are the commands for it right there, and then here's the chest with our Foxy plush that will be given once we break the prize. I've also added these platforms here to animate the ceiling fan, just like how there is in game. Now I've also here the commands that make dialogue and sounds. I've also added a black box in here, so you're not just out in the very open. I've also linked the minigame to this minecart, so it detects when I will throw this item. It will teleport us up and start the game. So as you can see, if I interact with this and throw this, and I can throw this, it will play a little sound, teleport me in here, and here's our hint. Next hint, push buttons, make repairs. We start, we can then play it. As you can see, we have some dialogue, so the player knows what to do. It'll tell us what to do, and then we can grab the eye. I've added some sounds so you can it's more realistic and you can hear what's going on. And then you grab the other eye, you put it in here as well, and then he'll tell you to open Bonnie's flashlight to click both sides on the side of the shore. It will then open up something, and as you can see, it was the blue one that was wrong, so we're going to throw that. There we go, that's the end of that. And as you can see, we're now in the parts in the prize room. We can break this and we get our Foxy prize, and we can continue to play other levels if we would like. Now, Plushtrap's minigame is pretty simple, and I'm not going to do speed build for it, considering that all it is the Plushtrap hallway, which is just different block palette, and the rooms are empty, and I'm going to keep them that way, so there's just going to have 4 empty rooms, and that's it. So there's not going to be a speed build, so let's get on and see what I have done. So this is how I made the Fun with Plushtrap hallway from Help Wanted. It's just mostly the same from my FNAF 4 video. I've just changed up the block palettes. The rooms are now bigger and empty. There's not much to the rooms because they don't have any in Help Wanted, and I'll prefer to keep them that way because the player's not going to be able to see it anyway. So I've also changed it from a stripped spruce wood and blue terracotta for the pattern which I think fits it best. Now all these rooms will be empty and they will stay that way, they won't change. Now here's the X, so this is the X that we're going to be using, and this is the perspective of the player, where the player will be teleported when they start the minigame. Now this window is something I didn't add before, and I've actually added this skull outside to make it look like stars, to make it more accurate to the Help Wanted game. So let's get started working on Plushtrap himself. So I made the Fun with Plushtrap model, and he's pretty simple. He's pretty similar to the FNAF 4 one, only difference is that I gave him ears, because I didn't do that in my original recreation. I positioned it all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a green concrete block where Plushtrap's positions will be. The first 3 being in the hallway, then the other 4 being in the rooms on the either side, so the 4 rooms on the either side of the player. Now once we have this down, we can now start working on the flashlight, and I'll show you how I think that will work. So for the flashlight, I have a right idea what we're going to do with it. Here's a netherite ingot named flashlight, and this is the item we're going to be using for the flashlight. We're going to crouch instead of throwing because I think it's much more efficient. So first thing we're going to do is add a scoreboard objectives, let's see, what should we call it? Fun with Plushtrap Flash Crouch, because that seems like an appropriate name considering what we're going to be using this scoreboard for. And then we're going to have to make it a custom scoreboard, so we can, instead of it being a normal score tracker, it will modify only when we do a certain thing. And what we want that thing to do is when we sneak, aka crouch. So as you can see, if we set display to the sidebar, when we crouch, as you can see, it goes up, and when we stop, it doesn't. So in this command block, execute if score at P, Fun with Plushtrap crouch, flash crouch, matches 1 or higher, and if it detects it matches 1 or higher, it will run this command, which will set the score for us back to 0 again, so it doesn't go higher than 1. So that's very efficient, so it can be used over and over again. Now that we have that, we grab a lever and we'll use it, and now it's powered. As you can see, we crouch 1 and it goes back to 0. Now we have to make it so it only detects it when we're holding this. So now I've got this command block here, which does exactly that. As we crouch, as you can see, it powers when we crouch. So what that does, it's an execute command where detecting when we hold the item. But first it detects if the score is Plushtrap on. So it will only power if the game for Fun with Plushtrap is on. And once that happens, it will power this and turn this on or off. So now what we're going to need to do is make it will stand right here, and as you can see, as we crouch, it goes on or off. So now we need to make a sheet of concrete here, turn on and off. So now that we've done that, as you can see here, I'm going to create another scoreboard. This one I'm going to name it is Flashlight On, because now it's Fun with Plushtrap. So it only detects when the flashlight is on. So what we're going to add at the beginning of this is an execute score command, and it detects if the flashlight is off. And if it detects if the flashlight is off, it will power. So as you can see, that will pattern. Now we're going to copy this command block and paste it over and change it a little bit. So we'll go to that one command we just put in and change it from detecting if it's off, if it's on. So as you can see, if I set the score for myself for the flashlight to 0 or 1, as you can see, this one will power and the next one won't power, so on, so on. So now that we have that, I'm going to add a scoreboard command to these comparators, which will change the score from 1 to 0 depending if the flashlight is off. So this one will set it to 1, and if we copy this one and paste it here, it will turn it off. So as you can see, we now have a toggle system. We crouch and it will turn on and off. On and off, which is perfect, which means we can toggle the flashlight on and off, which means we can add a fill command to replace it with concrete. So now, as you can see, I've added this big sheet of concrete, black concrete, so it looks like we can't see, and on the other side is the actual minigame itself. So if we do that and then we crouch, it will remove the black sheet of concrete just like it's toggled on and off, and we do it again, it will turn it off, on and off once again. Very simple, very easy. Now we can actually get started on the good stuff. So now we're going to make a score called Fun with Plushtrap Position. So we can detect if he's at which position, which helps for the X. So it detects when Plushtrap's on the X and when we flash the light. So it's going to be called Fun with Plushtrap Dummy. And then after that, I added some positions or animation for the armor stand instead of it just all being one position. So I had to look through the armor stand's data and change it so it would look better. So I'd have to look through the data of the armor stand while changing it into a command block so I could change and make sure it had the right custom position that I wanted it to look like. It's very helpful when animating armor stands instead of using separate ones that I used to do before I learned this command was actually existent. So it's actually really helpful when it comes to positioning things, because as you can see, I can now easily change the position of this Plushtrap armor stand without actually doing much work, and I found it really helpful, and you guys should learn it too. So now after a short while, as you can see, I've done a few bit of work for Plushtrap, and it actually seems very complicated, but I'll try and work you through it. So here's the flashlight item, and as you can see, if I grab this item and I will go up and set a redstone block right on this orange concrete here, it will actually start a timer, as you can see on the side of the screen. And as you can see, it's going down currently, and you can hear the footsteps and you can see he's moved. But the second I turn on the flashlight and turn it off, it will turn on and on, which is actually really helpful because scoreboards are a very easy way to doing this. As you can see, it'll go up, but if I flash, it will turn off. So as you can see, let's wait some more. There's Plushtrap right there. Keep waiting, and then eventually he will reach the X after a short period of time, and you get the point. It's actually very easy to do, and let's do the rest. So now that I have that done, as you can see, I have a scoreboard detecting command detecting if the flashlight is on, and the Plushtrap position score is at 4. And number 4 is when he's on the X, which will start the end of the minigame. Now, I have an idea of how the end of the minigame will work, but as you can see, if I add this comparator, and it will actually power when he's on the X. Instead of using a title command for the grate like I did in my first game, I can actually use an armor stand with a custom name named Grate, just like in Help Wanted. So now I've made it when the Plushtrap is on the X, it will actually make the custom name of the armor stand visible so you can see the name Grate. Now the last thing I need to do is the timer, and I have an idea how that works. As you can see, here's another timer countdown, and I've done the first 10 seconds. And it's detecting when a certain score reaches a certain score for the game timer. So it will remove one of this score at a certain amount of time, and it will change the scoreboard's name on the side of the screen. So if I put a redstone block there, as you can see, it slowly goes down 87, 86, 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, then 80. Now there's no more after that because I haven't made them, but it's simple with just adding more, then I can reset it and it goes down again. Very easy. So let's get on finishing this. Now I've finished the whole of the timer, as you can see here, and there's quite a bit of command blocks involved. As you can see, there's 2 command blocks for each second involved of the timer. Now each row is approximately 10 seconds, so each row is 10 seconds, making there around 9 rows. So it goes all the way from 89 to 1. Now I haven't added the jump scare part yet, because first we need to actually animate the jump scare, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to animate the jump scare so we can almost be completed and change everything so you can jump scare. So now I've added the jump scare, and as you can see, there's a little black box and a few more command blocks over in this direction, and these are the reset commands and the commands that power the jump scare. So as you can see, this will set a redstone block over here, which will power the jump scare in the first place and start it and activating it. So if I put a redstone block right there, it will teleport me in here, play some sounds, and it won't teleport me to the game over box because I haven't made one yet. So now let's finish off this level by making a hub, a start box, and a few other boxes, and then will be complete with this level. Now I've completed the entire of the Fun with Plushtrap level at only 335 command blocks for the entire thing. Now I've added all of the boxes, such as the win box, the start box with the tips. As you can see down here, it works in the exact same way as I did for here's the tip system, and it works in the exact same way as Bonnie's did, as you can see over there. They'll all work the same. The hints have changed though. As you can see, stop Plushtrap on the X, and then if you go to the next tip, as you can see, if you go to the next tip, press shift to toggle your flashlight, and when we crouch, it will toggle the flashlight on and off. So that's the hint. And over here are the boxes for the game over. Right here, as you can see, same one as over there, retry or main menu. You can choose, they both work. And the prize box is once again the same. And once again, I've animated the fan, just with different clone commands. And the prize box works in the same way. Instead of a Foxy plush though, it's giving you a toy caterpillar. So let's get working on the third and final level I want to get done for this video. So here are the outlines for the final minigame I'm going to be making in this episode, being Vent Repair Mangle. As you can see, it's the biggest build of them all so far, with its long vents that go up and down, which Mangle can crawl through to catch the player. There's none behind me. I've also made sure to include the ones that are below the player, such as the one that includes the fan just beneath the player in the game, and then the two on the side of each vent, the one being with the gears, and the other one being the light to finish the minigame. So each vent has a different property, such as a different thing that needed to be repaired. So now with that, let's go start the speed build. Now, the first thing I did once I completed the build is make this animated fan, as you can see here. It's the same way I always make fans, with just a repeating thing that goes back and forth, cloning something to make it look like the fan's going back and forth. I've also changed the vents to polished tough because I think it suits the darker tone better than the lighter andesite version. So all the vents have been changed to tough. So the first actual commands we're going to be doing to make this functional is detecting when the player has hit this birch button right here. So as you can see in chat, I'm typing this so I can have the coordinates of this button, and then we want it to be powered true. So then we're going to copy, as you can see, test failed, and then we're going to copy this and then paste it into a command block down underneath the build where we can start on the rest of everything else. So as you can see, I'm just going to make a little platform over here, and it's going to hold a repeating command block where we're going to paste this command. The platform doesn't need to be too big, just enough to fit the command block and what I'm going to use it for. So let's grab a repeating command block, place it down, and paste in this command and set it to always active. Now we have that command ready. I've now added animation and sound. As you can see here, I've added a few more command blocks so we can make it have an animation and have a sound. That's what these two do at the beginning. and the rest are the cloning commands, which clone all these in order to make it look like the vent door is slowly opening and to start the minigame. So up here, as you can see, if I go inside here and sit down and click this button, the door will slowly open, looking like it opened, revealing the vent inside, where we have to click this button. We'll click this button, but first we'll click this, and as you can see, it puts them back in case somebody breaks them. So as you can see, I'll break that, and I'll turn that into a lever. Now, the first thing that I need to do before we do anything else is, as you can see, the command blocks is Mangle. And as you can see, here's the armor stand model for Mangle. I tried to replicate it the best I could from the vent repair minigame, because Mangle only appears in vents. So I tried to replicate it the best I could, and I think it is pretty good of what I had to work with. So the command blocks now, I've added a few more. These reset ones, which flicker, make the lights flicker in there, and the sound commands. And over here, it will play a few sounds and sets the block. Now over here, this is what makes the door open. So as you can see, if I were to go up in here, and as you can see, here's this button, and if I effect clear, as you can see, it's pitch black, but if I click this button, the lights will flicker, the door will open, the sound will play, we'll click this button and the light will flick. So the next thing we need to do is to make Mangle teleport up here, and make sure that you can see Mangle in there. So that's what we're going to do now. So here are the repeating command blocks. So instead of teleporting a bunch of armor stands to one position, it will just teleport it to an armor stand, so I only have to teleport one armor stand. It will make it so much easier when teleporting multiple armor stands. So instead of teleporting a bunch, you only have to teleport one and the rest will follow. So as you can see, we have Mangle with the armor stands up here in the vent. And as you can see, if I click this button over here, it will remove the sheet of concrete and Mangle will be there. So now it will set a redstone block at another position, which will start powering a line that will start the second vent when the first vent will open. Then I made it so it will detect when the button is pressed inside of the vent, so it could continue and do the other action that the player is needed to perform to make the player continue on in the minigame, which they have to click a button and flew a lever to move a fan out of the way. So then after that, as you can see, the second vent is now open. As you can see, that button down there is on that side, and as you can see, it will switch sides, indicating that that is now powered. As you can see, I've now added a clone command that clones the fan so it's no longer facing and blocking the vent. And down here I've also added the next phase where mist will spray from the pipes and you'll have to screw the pipes up to stop the spray. As you can see over here, I've also given Mangle an animation, so Mangle is no longer actually just sliding in the vent, actually has an animation looking like she is walking back and forth. Now I've also added sounds. So the next thing we're going to do is where you have to go down here and start a color change, which that color change will make you know how the pin is. Now this happens just after this, so the redstone blocks will be set here and certain redstone block will be set someplace else starting the next sequence. As you can see, I've also added more clone commands for the different things such as the buttons color change and stuff like that. So as you can see, if we were to go up in here, as you can see, this light is red and it will only turn green when you complete it. So as you can see, if I restart, as you can see, it's red. I put this open. As you can see, Mangle now has an animation and looks like she is retreating into the vent. Now obviously you won't have a night vision effect, so it won't be this bright. And as you can see, that's changed. The vent now opens and as you can see, mist starts spraying out of the pipe. So to stop this, we can click the button that is right there. So if we click it, it will stop, so will the sound, and then this one will start. So you click this one and the sound will stop, and then the final pipe will start, which is this one, and that will finish. Then now we have to make it so this door will open up and this light will start flickering. The way I plan to get the light to change color is making an armor stand where these different colored player heads, red, green, blue, and orange, just like in the game. I then have a command that will replace the item on top of the armor stand's head from a certain block being the chest's position, and then that position, it will be the first container, and we'll change the container number depending which slot we want to replace the head. So then we'll have a delay so that you can actually have time to see it before it changes color again between each time the actual player head gets swapped out for a different color. Now this sort of acts how it does in game, and I think is a perfect system. Then we have this clock that will infinitely do it. I've also made this disabled one so you know when it starts, so you don't know when it stops and you know when it starts, so just like in the actual vent repair minigame from Help Wanted. I like it and it's very accurate to the game. So as you can see right here, the light has changed just how I want it to. So it goes blank, then it goes red, green, blue, orange, then back to blank so you know when it ends, and then it starts up again in an infinite loop, and I just think this works perfect for the way it does. So as you can see, I've just added a lever to start the clock to make it go infinite. As you can see, here are the items in the chest that is replacing the head of the armor stand. Now, the next thing we need to do is to make it so we can actually view it. From this perspective, you can't actually see the light, and I don't want the player jumping up like this. In VR, and it's very easy, you can just peek your head over to see it, but I have a different idea. It could be where we have an interaction and it will give the interaction a name tag and we can detect when they punch it. So right now, as you can see, I've turned on hitbox, and here's the interaction entity, big enough so the player can punch it and they'll be teleported over so they can actually view it. So let's tag this entity right here, and let's tag it to name VR Vent Repair, M for Mangle, and then Light Glance so we can view the light. So now with these three command blocks here, it detects when we hit it. So let's add a scoreboard. Let's call it VR Mangle, standing for Vent Repair Mangle, or just Vent Repair M to make it smaller, is looking at light. So this will make it so it's an easy toggle system back and forth to detecting if we're looking at the light or not. So let's set the play for us, which is me right now, and let's set the score to 0. So as you can see, let's change it to 0 so then we are not looking at the light. So if you can see in here, we will change it from us changing it to 1. So now that we have that, we'll have a repeating command block detect if the score matches 1 or 0, so it knows if we're looking at the light or not. And if we are, it will teleport us to the position, and if we're not, it will put us back in the little area. So then, as you can see, we are not looking at the light, but if we change it to 1 out of comparator, we now have a toggle system. So now, as you can see, I have this command block here, and if I power this button, it'll give us a player head item named return. And this is what we're going to throw to make it so it knows when it's supposed to put us back in the vent, no longer looking at the light. Then after that, the player has to put in a pin, and the pin has to be correct. I couldn't think up of any design, so I just used the same design I used for my syslocation video, where it will go red, green, blue, orange being the pin. So as you can see, we have this little area right here with this big version of it. So as you can see, we'll click this button. If we click this button, it won't work because we have to click it in order, or else it will not work unless it is in that correct order. I think it's a pretty simple order, and as you can see, it is now all powered, and we can now power the command block. So as you can see right here, we can place whatever we want to power. Now, as you can see, this means we are about done with this level. As you can see, we have every single vent open and completed, and the pin which ends the level. So we have everything you can need. But you may have noticed that I've actually missed out one particular part, and that is Mangle. Mangle can actually appear in one of the two vents on either side of the player, and they can kill them if they get too close. So as you can see, I've made this concrete, the red being where they have to get to jump scare you, the pink being where they do not. So let's start working on Mangle. Now, after a few hours of long working designing, I finally have a design that works. Now, Mangle is one of the most complicated characters I have made so far, and I think it works around rare. So here's the sounds that play for Mangle if they are in the vent. So if Mangle is in the vent, it will play that sound. There's the timer which will count down. Now if the second vent is available to the player, it will add a score, making it so it's only available to the player. Now here are the command blocks that detect when Mangle should appear in the vents or not, and this is detecting when we're looking at Mangle, because you have to look at Mangle to make them go away, or else Mangle will keep coming forward, kind of like in FNAF 6. So now as you can see, I have the concrete. It will switch the concrete and set a redstone block at the beginning if you have completed it, but if it detects you get to the red concrete, this block will detect it, set a redstone block here, which will start the jump scare. So as you can see, this is one of my favorite jump scares I've made, and if I place a redstone there, we get teleported in here, Mangle plays some sounds and a jump scare, and that is it, and then it'll teleport us to the game over, hub box, etc. So that's the only things I need to do now before we've completed this entire level. I've now completed everything I wanted to get done for today's video. And as you can see, I have now completed this level. I've also added some dialogue lines with some title commands which I wanted to get done, which I always do last. The hint level room, which I have done in the exact same way as I've done for the other 3 ones, is just an armor stand with different name and head. The prize room works in the same way with the animated fan, same as the game over room. The only difference to the prize room is that you get a different prize every time, this one being a Bonnie plush. Same commands for the clone, and this means we are now completed. Now the total commands we have for this level is 494 command blocks, which is the most amount of command blocks we have used so far, and I suspected this would be the one that would use the most. And with that, we have all 3 minigames finally completed. So let's see if we can survive Parts and Service Bonnie, Fun with Plushtrap, and Vent Repair Mangle. I hope you guys enjoy the following gameplay, and let's see if we can survive all 3 minigames. Now we're here in the hub. I would so love to play this in VR like Cup of Tea EXE did for his Help Wanted 2 video. I do have a VR, but it's just too laggy for me to record it. Let's see if we can get Glitchtrap to appear. So until I make it not laggy, we're just going to have to do it in flat mode. There's our pal over there, little Glitchtrap waving at us. So let's select our levels. I think it would be logical to play them in the order that I built them, so, Parts and Service Bonnie, that's the first one I built, so let's play this one first. So let's select this, we have a little sound, we are now here, so make repairs with a Bonnie head, and push buttons, that should be very simple. Hints, now is no more hints, so let's start. Alright, welcome back to Parts and Service. Oh no, it looks like Bonnie's guitar is out of tune and needs to be calibrated. Firstly, grab Bonnie's right eye and remove it from its socket. Okay, so now we're going to deposit it in the left. Well done. Now let's firmly grip Bonnie's right eye and put it in the receptacle on our right. So as you can see right here, let's put it in there. Now to open the faceplates, press the 2 buttons on the either side of the door. There's the 2 clicks. It's open. As you can see, the faceplates are open. So there we go. It's pretty obviously which one is out of tune then. It was blue. There we go. We have now completed it, and that concludes our duties for tonight. So as you can see, let's break our plies and see what we will get. Obviously, I know it will be a Foxy plush because I made this, but there we go. Small little level, fun though. He's still over there watching me. Alright, let's see. I think it was logical to do dark room, so let's play Plushtrap. So our goal is to stop Plushtrap on the X, and we have to press shift to toggle the flashlight, because remember, we have to crouch to toggle it on and off. So that's all the hints. So let's go back, and as you can see, we have a timer on the side of the screen, and we have 90 seconds to get this done. So we have the flashlight in inventory. Yep, alright, he's off the chair. Alright, so that should mean we have about 3 or 4 more movements. Depends how long we keep the flashlight on. I think 90 seconds is I think we can get it done within 90 seconds. We'll probably... if we'll die, it will be because I haven't noticed he's on the X. He still hasn't moved, though, which is interesting. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, we have a minute left. Has he moved? Yes, he has. He is no longer here. Alright, so he's not here at the moment, so he's in one of the rooms. I obviously missed it. Right, there he is, right there. Alright, 1 or 2 more movements. 1 or 2 more movements. Which one will it be? How long? Footsteps? Alright, there we go. Great, we've completed it, and we are now here. So it looks like we've completed that very easily first try. Let's see what we get. Obviously, I still know it's a toy caterpillar, which I like from FNAF 4. Back in the hub. Hello, buddy. You're just gonna keep waving at me? Will he despawn? The price counter doesn't work yet, but I plan to make that functional in my next video, so let's see. Are you still there, buddy? Oh, he's not. Goodbye, buddy. Alright, so let's do the final and the one that will take the most time, which I've never actually play tested yet, so Vent Repair Mangle. So make repairs, okay, we can make repairs, and let's push them buttons, okay? That's all the tips, so let's start. Welcome to Vent Repair, Fazbear Entertainment Prides. Alright, so each facility is set to 70 degrees. My headlamp should protect me, and I'm a certified technician, which I do not think I'm any of those things. As you can see, the green light's on, and everything is fine. Let's see, when I click this button, as you can see, the light's now red. Alright, let's see, click this button, flip the lid. It's really dark, hard to see. Hi, Mangle. I've also added in some sound effects. The second one is open, so we're gonna have to... Alright, Mangle, go away. No one invited you. No, you're not invited to this party. Alright, so we click this button, flick, oh, go away. Flick this lever, and then we go. Now this mist has started up, so we'll click that button right there, and we'll click this right there. Nope, she's in this one now because I've unblocked the vent for her. So let's click this button to finish that off. And once again, Mangle, no one invited you to this party. You are not invited. Go away. Alright, so let's see that one. And as you can see, Mangle is trying to kill us. Stop it. Alright, so the code is red, green. Mangle, where are you? Stay away. Obviously I know the code, but I'm going to act like I don't. So red, green, blue, orange. I didn't quite get that, so it's red, green, blue, orange. As you can see, I can still hear Mangle. Where you are, go away. So we gotta click this button. God damn it, Mangle, go away. Alright, so red, green, blue, orange. Alright, we have now completed it. Perfect, 72 degrees. See you next time. Alright, we're now back in the prize room. Here's our gift, and as you can see, we can break it, and we get a Bonnie plush, confetti, yippee, hooray. No glitch trap, and as you can see, we have completed all 3 of the minigames first try. I didn't die at all during those playthroughs because they were my first, and you guys probably want to see the jump scares, so I will now show you all 3 of the animatronic jump scares of Plushtrap, Bonnie, and Mangle. Hopefully you guys like them, and then we'll wrap up the video. This video was a lot of fun to put together for you guys. Now I think I'm going to put my priorities back to FNAF 6 because I want to get that done and get that video out to you guys as soon as possible. It's sort of in the mid stage, and I do live streams every now and again to do the progress. So yeah, that's pretty fun. But now, as you can see, we are going to end the video today, and this is going to be the end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I might do a few more episodes just to keep you guys don't have to be waiting for too long. Now, an honorable mention is CupperTEXE for being my inspiration for this video and a lot of my channel. He's done lots of things like this, and I'll have his video and his channel linked in the description because he hasn't actually made a Help Wanted on his own, so this is completely my own work, but he has done a Help Wanted too, so you guys should go check that out, and goodbye.